Today we're looking at all size 4 weapons in Star Citizen to find the best. We're testing every S4 purchasable in-game with Alpha UEC in patch 4.6 using the Mirai Guardian MX because it allows us to equip 4 size 4 weapons for maximum DPS. Let's go. Normally I'd start with scatterguns and distortion weapons, but there's only one shotgun at this size, the Salvation, which isn't purchasable in-game, and currently 0 size 4 weapons to shut down enemy ships. There are links in the description to other weapon sizes though, should you be interested in those. So let's jump straight to the fun ones, ballistic Gatling guns. Starting with one of my favorite size 4 PvE weapons over the years, the AD4B by Bearing Applied Technology. With a burst DPS of 1266 and 84 max alpha damage, which might not sound like much, but 900 rounds per minute gives you the ability to melt anything in front of you in seconds. It also has plenty of ammo, 5220 rounds per gun, meaning you can do quite a few bounties before needing to rearm. There is a downside though, and that's the 900 meters per second projectile speed, which is why it will never be viable for PvP against smaller targets. Next up, another great choice and a very close second only to the new Breakneck ballistic Gatling gun, the Revenant by Apocalypse Arms. It has a burst DPS of 1266 and 63 max alpha damage. Fires 1200 rounds per minute at a velocity of 1.2 kilometers per second. It's still not ideal for PvP, and it has quite a bit lower ammo count at just 3660 compared to the AD4B, but it is super fun to use. The Breakneck is the only size 4 ballistic Gatling gun viable for PvP, despite doing slightly less damage than the Revenant, firing 100 rounds per minute slower and having more bullet spread. The Breakneck projectiles travel at 1450 meters per second, has more hit points and almost 3 times more ammo, 10,500 rounds to be exact, which is just ridiculous. I wish CIG would give all ballistic weapons this much ammo. Of course, at the time of making this in patch 4.6, the Breakneck can only be found on the new Shiv Heavy Fighter or by scavenging for one, and is not purchasable in in-game shops. But the Revenant is a good alternative if you can't find one. Anyway, sticking with ballistics, let's move on to cannons. Up first is the popular Deadbolt IV by Espera, a modernized Tavaran weapon with a burst DPS of 1139 and max alpha damage of 683. It fires 100 rounds per minute, which is quite good, but the 864 projectile velocity absolutely kills it. It's very strong for PvE if you're relatively close to your target, but absolutely useless for PvP. Then we have the C788 ballistic autocannon by Bearing Applied Technology, a weapon that looks just badass and has the most range of any size 4 weapon. You can hit your target from 6.5 kilometers away, making it the favorite S4 weapon of snipers. But don't let any of that fool you though. It has a burst DPS of 271, does 325 max alpha damage, projectile speed of only 900 and fires just 50 rounds per minute. It's slow, inaccurate, does mediocre damage at best, and that range means nothing since you need to be close to actually land your shots reliably. It also only has 270 rounds of ammo. Get literally anything else, like lasers. The most common size 4 laser cannon, the M6A by Bering has 1025 burst TPS and 615 max alpha damage. It fires 100 rounds per minute but has a projectile speed of only 960 meters per second, meaning it absolutely sucks for PvP. It's not too bad for PvE, but has limited shots and damage isn't something to write home about. You'll definitely want to upgrade the M6A to something else as soon as you can. The Omnisky XII laser cannon, with its burst DPS sitting at 820 and max alpha damage at 328, it's easy to see why it's such a popular choice in Star Citizen when it comes to size 4 weapons. It fires 150 rounds per minute, but the projectile speed of just 1344 makes it slightly too slow for PvP engagements. I'll also add that the size 4 Omnisky in particular feels very underpowered compared to its smaller size 1 to 3 counterparts. A bit disappointing overall for PvE. Now, if you really want to use cannons for PvP, your only option really is to go for the Lightstrike IV by Asperia, which has a projectile speed of 1728 meters per second and fire rate of 250 rounds per minute, which is a lot for this weapon class. It has a burst DPS of 693 and alpha damage of 166, but its biggest downside is the limited shots even with good power supplies, as well as the recharge time to load your shots back up to full. If you're a PvE player, there's no reason other than projectile speed to use the Lightstrike IV, unfortunately. Let's talk repeaters, and for the size 4s we only have two options in patch 4.6 that are purchasable in in-game stores with aUEC. Starting with what seems to be everyone's favorite PvE weapon, the Attrition 4 from Hurston Dynamics, a company specializing in security solutions for the verse. It has a burst DPS of 1179 and max alpha damage of 202 and can fire 350 rounds per minute. It's very strong if you can stay close to your target, but because your projectile speed on the Attrition 4 is only 1000 meters per second, it's a poor choice for PvP. And finally, one of the most common stock weapons and best choice for PvP players when it comes to what you can buy in in-game shops, the CF447 Rhino laser repeaters by Bering. It has mediocre damage of just 818 burst DPS and 65 max alpha damage, but keep in mind that it does actually fire 750 shots per minute at a velocity of 1.8 kilometers per second, so it's very fast and highly accurate. You won't struggle to hit small targets with this one. But which size 4 weapon is best in Star Citizen patch 4.6 that you can get from in-game shops with aUEC? For PvE, I'd say the AD4B ballistic Gatling gun, or if you prefer lasers, the Attrition 4. As for PvP, if you can't get hold of the current meta S4, the Breakneck, which is really the only ballistic weapon I can recommend, even though I love the Revenant, it's just a tad too slow and will require you to really stick to your more nimble opponents to make it worthwhile. I'd say just use the CF447 Rhino laser repeaters until you can scavenge a Breakneck. But what do you think? Which size 4 do you think is best? Let us know in the comments and be sure to check out this video next.